delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ibuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha. When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to The Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki, delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ibuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's 18 minutes past 9 a.m. and we have converged again on The Polity on the seriously authentic radio station transmitting from the commercial nerve center of Anambra State, Onitsha. My name is Franklin Bekan saying welcome to Monday edition of this very program, the 16th day of February 2026. We are glad to know that you are always there for us once we converge. And we have to let you know that we have our different platforms for you to continue to engage and amplify your voices. We are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM, on Instagram and YouTube channels. We are Udala Radio. You can as well check us out on our website, radioudala.com. Just check the website, you'll be able to access information on that very site. Once more, my name is Franklin Ebekan. This very morning, I'm flying with Tony Lisambeki on the analysis desk. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Franklin Ebekan. Good morning to Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning in Anambra. Good morning in Onitsha. Good morning in the Osumohu. Good morning in the Afia. This time around, all the markets, we are acknowledging you. We know very well that there is no more sit at home. Sit at home is banned. In Anambra State, it is totally and completely ostracized. And we believe markets, as usual, open. And we have about 64 major markets in around this state. We also have other markets in every community, but we're talking about major markets. So you hear things like Obwefera, Obwabada, Oborodo, Obwewu. You hear all the Obos. And at the same time, even Obowo, which is even more dominant. You know, likes of Mem Market, Sokoto Road, Johnson, Bright Street. These are markets everywhere. So we are acknowledging them, and also the civil servants. We know very well that this week, Anambra State government made a release that it's going to be a midterm break. So ordinarily, we would have expected the teachers to be at different schools, but for the midterm break, which they would proceed today, it means that the schools will have the midterm break between Monday and Friday. So we expect them to be at home as we speak at this moment. So it's generally a concern for everyone that failing to come out on Monday signifies disrespect to the directives issued by the state government. The banks, I believe, they are open and they should be open. And then the Oloyibo elsewhere, the civil service commission, and then the civil servants as well. So everywhere is expected to be open as usual. On my way here, we saw Operation Uduga Chidi, Agune Chamber, everywhere, even the police. So that tells you that We need to sustain the momentum. You are welcome wherever you are listening to us from the Olwaka. We are not also missing out on you, the Olwaka. We know very well how important your Olwaka is to the growth of the society. Everyone alike. We thank God Almighty for His mercy. We thank Him for His grace. He made this very day, and we are happy to witness this very day. Without Him, we can't be here. And without Him, we cannot do anything. So we say all glory, honor be unto His name. You are welcome. Enjoy the program.
Okay, Tony has told you one of the things actually getting our attention that is outside the front pages of newspapers. Talking about the meeting break in Anambra State, beginning today till end of the week. So school children, pupils, students will be home this very week. In fact, yesterday when I spoke with my friend in Enugu, he was telling me how he's looking up to meeting break in Enugu because for a long time he's been fagged out because of the demands of the job he does at that very school. Now, other things you might want to follow up or things happening there, here and there is about the City Boys movement actually is getting reactions, and we have seen the formation of Village Boys movement so that children can rival each other when it comes to mobilization for 2027 general election. Then there's a story developing in Onitsha here about one boy that killed the Oga with a pestle here in Onitsha. That story is also developing, but it's not captured on the pages of the newspaper. Then other things you might see in the paper this very morning is about the bickering between El Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, and then the office of the National Security Advisor. You know, El Rufai made an allegation that the office of the National Security Advisor was planning to import poisonous substance into Nigeria, and he was asking the office to explain what is meant for. Is it captured in the paper this very morning? Then the issue of the scheduling for 2027 presidential election is also in the news. INEC announced a timetable last week, and barely 24 hours after the timetable was announced, there were concerns that it could clash with Ramadan of the Muslims, and there were calls for postponement. And this very morning, we understand that the National Assembly might make a move to adjust the timetable. Then ABGA concluded its local government primary election, and we understand that about 10 serving mayors have been dropped, and other things emerging. And then talk about P2B, who was in Akwa Ibom State over the weekend, where he said, if you fail to count the vote, we count you. So we don't know what that means, but since that very Saturday when he made that very statement, he's been in the news recurrently. So some of these things you are going to see on the pages of newspaper this very morning, and very soon we're going to turn to the front pages to tell you what the papers are saying. Stay with us. Okay, so this morning, let's go to the papers. We have 4 of them: Daily Sun, The Guardian, The Punch, and Vanguard newspaper. So begin with the headlines we have on Daily Sun. This one says 2023 mistake won't repeat in 2027. OB, step down for Tinubu. It is not Southeast turn or Mahi. That story can be found on page 27 and 29 of Daily Sun newspaper. Recapitalization, banks rush to finalize merger. Acquisition deals as CBN's March 31st deadline nears. Labour furious over 3 trillion naira bailout plans for power. Claims money move to settle the boys ahead of 2027. Demands reversal of a privatization. That story can be found on page 8 of Daily Sun. Insisting on real-time transmission will plunge Nigeria into crisis. Senate. That story is on page 26 of Daily Sun. ADC knocks Tinubu for attending fishing festival amid escalating terror attacks. Says 1,300 Nigerians reportedly killed in last 41 days. That story can be found on page 8. Mr. President was in Kebbi State for the Agrodungu Festival, where they caught the biggest fish that weighed about 59 kg. And I learned that the man who caught that very fish was given 1 million naira and 2 cars as a reward. So people are saying, so why should we go for a festival? Why people are being killed in Nigeria? That's from ADC. Then another story that can be found on the front page of Daily Sun this morning says 8 states earmark 31 billion naira for legislators' houses, cars, furniture. That story can be found on 25 of the Daily Sun. Cross River listed as oil-producing state as FG's interagency committee submits report to Ramafac. That story can be found on page 26. 5 killed, 4 injured in a Bonny mining collapse. That story can be found on page 29 of Daily Sun newspaper. So these are the headlines we have on the front page of Daily Sun. Over to the Guardian. The big story here says port users pay more as NCS recreates multiple FX regimes, adds 7% margin. The story is on page 6. Another headline says AU Summit, Nigeria backs reforms, regional security measures. The story is on page 5. Then this headline says ABGA denies 11 chairmen LG election tickets in Anambra. Afenifere raises alarm over persistent terror attacks, abductions. That story is on page 7. CPPE decries 10 trillion naira yearly loss by MSMEs to employee corruption, fraud. That story is on page 5. Kwara government under fire for campaigning while terrorists raid community. Okay, let's retake this very one. Kwara governor under fire for campaigning while terrorists raid community. That story can be found on page 9. I think that was yesterday morning, that about 4 persons were abducted in Kwara community because Kwara has been in the news for the bad reasons. No thanks to what bandits have been doing in that very state, killing people and abducting people. Tax Act, presidency faults Amechi's claim on 25% bank deduction rule. That story is on page 8. Data shows 10-year capital funding gap in health sector. The story can be found on page 3. Mixed reactions to reported U.S. troops arrival amid fresh attacks. That story is on page 6. I think that was on Thursday or Friday that we learned that some aircraft carrying U.S. troops arrived in Nigeria. They did that. Some troops came. Likewise, they also came with some equipment that can help them in building the capacity of Nigerian troops. This one says NLC alleges FG planning to settle the boys with 3 trillion naira electricity subsidy. That story can be found on page 3. And the last story we have on the front page of the Guardian says PMS supply hits 63 million liters per day as consumption falls to 60.2 million in January. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. We cross over to the Punch. The big story here says emergency plenary. National Assembly move to shift presidential poll to February 13. That story is on page 2. It has some riders, and they include Senate, House, recall lawmakers from recess again to review 2026 electoral bill again on Tuesday. Presidential poll to hold earlier over Ramadan overlap. And that story says Shetima leads FG delegation to Kano after devastating market fire. Tinubu's Adamawa visit reignites Fintiri's defection rumors. That story is on page 8. Insecurity. Lawmakers split over Ndume's support for U.S. troops deployment. That story can be found on page 7. Kwankwaso returns from India trip amid U.S. sanctions threat. The story can be found on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Ex-INEC chiefs demand real-time result transmission as NAS panel meets. That story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And from Punch, we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard says, we communicate movement of terrorists to security agencies, but the story is on page 12. You see the story with a picture of the Zamfara state governor. He has riders, says terrorists can be defeated if discusses massive infrastructure achievement, reviews how state IG are moved from 90 million naira to over 5 billion in 30 months. The big story says Electoral Act harmonization. Reps under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results. That story is on page 5. It has riders. Empirical data guided our decision. Senate insists real-time electronic transmission of results mean not practicable now. insist real-time electronic transmission of results not practicable now. Then the story on page 8 says why most NAS members may lose seats in 2027 in Guinea. Another story says 2027 Obi formally declares for ADC, vows to defy ballot rigging. That story is on page 15. El Rufai Rebadu Bika over alleged importation of poisonous substance. The story is on page 9. Daily petrol import declined by 42.2% to 24.8 million liters per day. The story is on page 22. FG spends 26 billion on moribund Ajokuta Steel Company. The story can be found on page 21 of Guardian newspaper. Of Vanguard newspaper. Yes, Vanguard. Okay, and with that very story, we come to the end of the headline review on the 4 papers we brought you this very morning. So next is going to be for us to bring you the analysis on the most topical developments. Stay with us.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, thank you for staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to the Polity. My name is Franklin Ebikanda with Tony Olisambeki this very morning on the show. We begin here from Anambra State, where ABGA has concluded its primary election, or if you like to say, it has concluded all the, the processes leading to the emergence of the party's flag bearers for the August 29 local government election in Anambra State. This very process began, should I say, a few weeks ago, and at the end of the day, now have candidates for the party. But there are some things that are not clear to some persons, and they may want to find an explanation to what happened. Now, the thing is this: a few days ago, we talked about the mock primary election, which was conducted by ABGA, which produced 3 aspirants for each local government area for the chairmanship position, or if you like, the mayoral position. Then we were told that these very 3 aspirants were going to join the serving mayors in the main primary election, which held yesterday. But at the end of the day, it seems like the reverse was the case, because before the primary election held yesterday, we saw a list that came from ABGA, which was signed by ABGA national spokesperson Mazi Jumafo, where he listed the names of 21 aspirants who were cleared for that very primary election. At the end of the day, almost like those names that we saw, all of them became the candidates for the party for this very August local government election. So, Tony, let's start from there. People who are asking about what happened, what explanation can be offered to them for them to understand what actually happened?
I think we are most times not really focusing on what we should focus. When I saw what happened yesterday, what comes to my mind was that the Supreme Court has always maintained that issue of nomination, membership, and also leadership of a political party is entirely their business. It's their private business. So whichever way they want to go about it, it's entirely their business. So why should I be so much concerned about the way Amana ABGA conducted this election when it's entirely their personal business? And mind you, we know very well there are many ways to make nomination, either by primary, indirect primary, or by consensus. And another name for consensus is affirmation. Consensus is more like affirmation, where some people will be brought out by the party and the party will answer yes or no. And answering that, they may bar other people from contesting. That is their own word of consensus. But we know very well that there are other, if you have to go by Electoral Act 2022, and then the law was also equivocal when it says that in that consensus that other candidates should also be in agreement, the contestants. But if you go by that, that seems to have been nullified by Supreme Court ruling that everything about nomination of a candidate to a political context is entirely the business of a political party. So for me, what happened yesterday was what ABGA felt that it is best for them. And I've seen other contestants coming out to congratulate those who were actually victorious. So what happened yesterday was affirmation. They conducted mock primaries. After the mock primaries, they did their screening and then they did affirmation, more like a way of consensus. Just as we have explained, it is primarily and just their entire business according to the Supreme Court ruling. And we saw what happened yesterday, where about 11 mayors did not retain their position. And why people are so much concerned about not returning the position, because we know those who were cleared by ABGA seems to be the local government chairman designate or mayor designate. Why you may call them, though it might not really be proper to call them mayor designate because the election has not held, but in the technical view, they are mayor designate, because we have not seen other political parties gearing up for this election. No political parties coming out. I have not heard, but there could be others that could join very late. But so far, technically speaking, you may call them mayor designate. About 11 new mayors, and you have 10 of them or 11 of them dropped, 10 returned, because Anambra State, remember, has 21 local government. And if you look at those who were returned, I am aware Oka North, thank God, he was returned. In fact, Oka South was also returned. Junukofia was also returned. Ihiala, my local government, Ojako, was returned. Idemili North, Stanley Nkwoka, Stanley Nkwoka was also returned. You also have Idemili Nnewi North. There is so much debated, so much controversial local government prior to this mock, where the incumbent was also returned. And I did say that the letter the traditional ruler wrote to the governor was very needless. It was needless because this is a political party affair. But even when we know very well he's trying to ensure there is peace in his domain, but he could not have taken it further. I said it, that was on Friday. And now, what does it look like? The party ABGA has chosen to return the incumbent, who is from Umudim, as against Nnewichi Quest, to have the rotation applied. That is just that. And they also have Nnewi South returned, Orumba North. I was also pretty sure that the mayor was returned, Orumba North returned, even Anambra East returned. So in all of this, you can understand that most of them, I have seen their statements on Facebook. They were saying the party is supreme. So whatever the party says, everybody is bound to abide by the party position. And if you look at the list, just like I said earlier on, you find out that apart from that, Onitsha North or Onitsha South, both of them were replaced. And if you look at the new person for Onitsha North, Ibekwe Albert Chukwuemelie, replacing Honorable Nweze Nwora, Tony Nwora Nweze, the incumbent. And then you also look at Onitsha South. Oje was replaced by Mofunanya Peter Ikechukwu. So these were the names we've seen. And if you also look at those areas, even Aguata, where the governor comes from, Chibike was replaced by Ezago Kinsley Okwi, his deputy. He was elevated now to take over. If you also look at Anambra West, I don't know, they have also clamored for one thing or the other, but I'm aware that the incumbent was replaced by Tony Obierika. Even Anocha, Romanus Ibeko was replaced with Paulinus Nnamdi Okafor. Just like I said earlier on, you find out that Ekwusigo, the local government chairman, was replaced with Ifeanyi Kinsley Onochukwu. And the Demili South, Amaka, remember the lady, the only woman, we call her the only woman standing. Idemili South was replaced by Ilebunam Oluchukwu John. And I think that Ilebunam Oluchukwu John, I don't know, because she has been working with that very young man. So in all of this, we've seen everything. So I don't know, those who we actually returned, they have their few days, just like we said earlier on. Many of them were returned. Njikoka, very important, the same area that we were talking about rotation, where we were talking about the two clans, Umowole clan and Umundi clan. If you remember, we treated that issue here. We are seeing that Ikechukwu Okakpo replaced Ononiba. And even this Ikechukwu Okakpo is from also Umowole clan. Remember, Umundi clan was saying it is their turn. And I saw wonderful epistles written by different people trying to back up the claim that it is the turn of Umuri clan. But at the end of the day, the party is supreme. I have seen most of these contenders, those who lost out, they have all come out to say the party is supreme. That's the language. The party is supreme. In line with the Supreme Court ruling, anything nomination, it is entirely an internal affair of the political party, private affair that no court has jurisdiction over it. That's the Supreme Court ruling. No court has jurisdiction over how a political party conducts their primaries. But just like I said earlier on, that ruling by the Supreme Court has a little breach with provision of Section 84 of the Electoral Act 2022. If you go down different subsections, you'll find out where it says that for consensus to be in place, that the aspirants must agree. But Supreme Court's ruling has, in fact, overruled that very provision. It is squarely the affairs of a political party. How they come about it, you don't need to question it. No court has jurisdiction over it. So ABGA has conducted its own primaries. So everybody should abide by it and walk by it. Even where the aspirants, the content. We know there are those who may not be happy, but if you see what they have posted on Facebook, they all said that the party is supreme. So that's what I've seen.
So Tony, those three persons who were cleared from the mock primaries, what was their status? Was it that what happened was a charade? Because we didn't see them in the contest anymore.
In some local governments, it was varied in the sense that there were those cleared at the mock primaries who later participated. There were those who cleared that did not also participate. So the party boiled down everything to screening. Go and have your mock primaries to take several pluralities. There were those that came out from the mock primaries that later became victorious. There were those that did not even participate at all. So that is the Supreme Court ruling. It is purely an internal affairs of political party. So how they come about it, the criteria they apply, how they choose, it is their entire business, their internal affairs. And meanwhile, let me say this. So far, we've seen local governments or council elections in Nigeria. We've seen that it is the prerogative of the governor based on the state laws on election. We've seen somehow we are governors and pick. So in most states, there is no difference between Anambra State and Abia State, and there's no difference between Abia State and Enugu State, and there's no difference between Enugu State and Ebonyi State in most parts of the country from different geopolitical zones. So it is entirely the affairs of the parties, and it has always been that the ruling party in that state wins everything. At most, at worst, they may even give one or two local governments to a stakeholder who may not be a member of the political party, but who works with the governor. So when you see that a particular government was won by another political party, not true. It's just a situation where a stakeholder was given such position based on the fact that the person will also work with the governor. So for me, what is most important is the development at grassroots. That is the most critical thing, development at the grassroots. And if you look around some of these local government mayors, you would also acknowledge that some of them have been able to do one or two things. And remember, they have the independence, especially financially. And there's so much money around this local government circle now. I was actually interrogating one of the local government mayors. That was last week before I came in for the program. You are aware of that. And where there was debate whether he has done anything or he has not done anything. And before you know it, he gave me a list of all he has accomplished. I'm talking about a local government. I could recall it was either on Thursday, a particular day. I was having a long conversation with him over the phone line. over the debate, whether he has done or he has not done. He gave me, and he said, I can as well come, he will take me around the projects. So many of them have done one thing, but I'm not these type of armchair critics that will say they have not done anything, even when they have not been able to verify some of the claims. So let's watch and see. Other political parties, they are entitled to forward anybody, but somebody will say it's a waste of time because they don't have the structure, because the ruling party will take everything, and even the umpire so appointed by the ruling party. So in any case, we are going to see how these things will pan about. Technically speaking, just like I said earlier on, they can as well describe them as mayor designate. Okay, 11 persons.
So looking at what happened yesterday, could you say that the process leading to the emergence of these very flag bearers, it was democratic enough from the beginning to the end? That's number one. And number two, looking at those places where people who are the serving mayors, their quest to return, has been controversial. We mentioned Newi North, and that should be Njikoka. The people who are candidates of ABGA in these very two places, of course, they emerge against the supposed power arrangements in these two local government area, in Newi North and in Njikoka. Does it mean that the ABGA does not respect, all these internal arrangements by communities or by local government?
Well, the first question is, was it democratic enough? For me, the party has decided that's the way they want to go, by allowing people to come and show interest in contestation, and those who came for such, they were either screened out and they were either screened in. So the party did screening out and screening in. So if you are screened out, it means you are not going to be their candidate. And remember, political parties put up people that can win election, and those they can trust, those they can believe, or those they believe they can do some works. When you say, is it democratically? What is democracy? The people, were they backed by a faction of people, or was there any context? And one thing I have to say here, primaries by different political parties, if you go by our law, some of the provisions of the law may not even make them democratic. Where you say direct primaries, where you say consensus, where you say that political party can decide on their own who they bring. What is more important is compliance with the law. That's what's more important. Compliance with the law. And if you ask, does the ABGA as a party respect the internal arrangement? Any arrangement outside party arrangement, you don't expect them to respect that. What ABGA respect is their own arrangements, internal arrangements. You don't expect somebody who is, let's say, an Anglican to abide by some doctrines of the Catholic. What I believe the party does, they respect their own. If they have zoned or aligned with the arrangement of the community, fine and good. Because if you look at the zoning system in Anambra State, especially in the area of governorship elections, some political parties align with the zoning arrangement. But there are those that will tell you they will not align with the zoning arrangement. So it is a matter of if they align or do not. It's not a case of respecting. They are not bound to respect anything. But they can align or not align. That's the political language there, the political terminology. They are not bound to respect anything outside their own horizon, but they can align or do not align based on any arrangement externally, any extraneous arrangement. They can align, they can choose to align, or they may not choose to align, so they're not bound to do so. They have done their thing, and if you think you're not happy with it, you can challenge that. Anybody can challenge that at any state high court, and the law will be interpreted again. The point is, political parties, they are establishments of law. I have seen those who are not even members of the party telling the party how they will run their things. If you look at those who were arguing that it is this way, it is that way, if you check, many of them are not members of the party. So what it means that they are respecting the opinions of non-members.
So are you saying that members of ABGA are very happy with the arrangement? I mean, with the way the primaries turned out?
Go to the Facebook. Some of them are saying the party is supreme.
Okay.
I have not seen anybody who is a member of ABGA writing a epistle protesting against this arrangement. I've seen those who are not members of ABGA say they don't like what happened. That why would ABGA do this? Why would ABGA do that? But they're not members. But the members have not, and they can't cry more than the bereaved. You cannot be Catholic more than the Pope. You cannot be holier than thou. So you must be a member. And to show your frustration. So anybody who is not a member showing frustration in political language, you are just crying more than the bereaved. But the truth remains that I'm yet to see any member who will come out to write anything. Once I see, I will say it.
Okay. All right. So as it stands now, by the end of today, if no other political party conducts primary election in preparation for the August 29th women election, that simply means that only ABGA will be going to the polls. Because if you look at the timetable released by ANSEC last year, ANSEC said political parties have between December 18th and February 16, 2026 to conduct their primary election. So today is the last day for the primary. And by the end of the day, if no other party conducts primary election, either by consensus or by any other arrangement, that becomes, it will be a contest for only ABGA come August 29, 2026. So we're going to leave this other matter now and go to the national level where the timetable for the national election, which was announced by INEC, has been generating concerns. INEC had announced that February 2027 should be the date for the presidential election, and then March is going to be the date for the governorship election. But ever since INEC announced that timetable, we have seen different reactions, trailing that Murik reacted. Likewise, some Muslims saying that there could be a clash between Ramadan and that election, and their concern is that if there's a clash, it's going to affect how Muslims are going to take part in that very election. And since then, we understand National Assembly might be National Assembly will be reconvening tomorrow to look into this and see how they can adjust this very time for the election. So Tony, let's begin with the date and then the reaction that has been trailing it.
Well, we know very well that Ramadan is a special period as far as Muslim they are concerned. So many of us who are not Muslim, sometimes we would want to question some things and say, why would they be doing this, or why would they be doing that, or why would they be making this comment? But we're gonna give you a balanced analysis of this from different concerns, from different positions. And just like I said earlier on, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and it's one of the holiest periods for Muslims around the world. And during this month, adult Muslims fast every day from dawn until sunset as an act of worship and self-discipline. And if you look at the way they fast, it's not about avoiding food and drink. It is also focuses on spiritual growth. So they go for prayers, read the Quran, give charity, they practice patience, kindness, forgiveness. So that is just that. But we know very well that it is not a steady period. It moves earlier by about 10 to 11 days each year. Yes, in the regular calendar, because it follows the moon cycle. And the moon ends with the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, which is a joyful festival marked by prayers and other things like family visits, sharing of foods, and all that. So we know very well that it is the month that culminates to Eid al-Fitr. And if you go to Lagos, there was a time I was in Lagos during this Ramadan period. What you'll be seeing everywhere is Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Kareem. You will see it pasted on almost every space. Ramadan Kareem. But now that's not the issue. The issue is we are talking about election timetable released by INEC. And INEC has chosen these dates to be the day for presidential election and at the same time for governorship election. Presidential election, 20th February 2027. Governorship and State Assembly election, 6 March 2027. And these dates fall directly within Ramadan, which is already causing ripple. Like I said earlier on, INEC has come out to defend their position, saying that they did what they did in compliance with the law. They have guidelines that say that presidential elections shall always come at the 3rd week of February and followed by 2 weeks interval for the state assembly and governorship elections. So it is their guidelines ever prepared from time immemorial, and they have followed that. They have not deviated. They have not in any way shifted from this position. It had always been there. So that nobody will say that they consciously, intentionally, deliberately shows that very day. But like I said, this argument, many of them are saying, I've seen what Atiku wrote, I've seen what many northern Muslims, many of them, I've seen their write-ups. Some of them are saying that the issue is not about that it fell within the month of Ramadan, that the issue is turnout, that some of them that will be fasting may find it difficult to come out and do their voting, that somebody who is fasting may not have the energy to come out. So I think is purely talking about turnout, not that the nation cannot put election within Ramadan. But I've seen Christians, it seems that this is a case of Christians arguing against Ramadan. They say that it also fell within the month of Lent, that Lent is a period of fasting, that most elections that had taken place in this country from the time immemorial had always fallen within the month of Lent, that Christians do fast and they do come out from their fasting period to go and vote. So this is the only time I've checked records, this is the only time in our history that election period has come under Ramadan. But outside that, I'm talking about general election, but there had been other elections that had come under Ramadan and nothing happened. I recall very vividly that there were supplementary elections that held during the month of Ramadan. I recall, in fact, it was election overseen by Mahmoud Yakubu on April 15, 2023. It was during Ramadan. And these elections were in Kebbi and Adamawa states that were earlier declared inconclusive. And nobody complained that these elections that were declared inconclusive in Kebbi and Adamawa state fell within the month of Ramadan. They rescheduled election. No major complaint from Muslims. So just as I have been saying that elections have been conducted in Nigeria since 1999 to 2023, even 2027 during Christian fasting period of Lent. But Christians, they won't say anything. But Muslims are saying it is not good for them. Let's look around the world. Just like I said earlier on, many countries, Muslim countries, I'm talking about Muslim-dominated countries. Turkey, for instance, conducted the elections during Ramadan on multiple occasions. Yes, I'm talking about Turkey. Mr. President visited the other day. These elections were held on March 31st, 2024, which fell during Ramadan around the 25th or 21st day. And then if you look at some analysis, they noted potential advantages for Islamic-leaning parties like the AKP in Turkey. For them, it was a heightened religious sentiment during fasting. Some saw it as advantage. If you go to Indonesia, Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim majority country. Indonesia. And I know very well that it has conducted elections during fasting periods without major disruption. If you go to Kuwait, I'm aware that parliamentary elections were held during Ramadan. That was in 2024, around April. If you go to Egypt, the country has organized referendums and voting processes that have elapsed with Ramadan. Are you going to talk about Pakistan? The electoral activities in Pakistan have occurred during the same period. If you go to Gambia, even here in Africa, Gambia is mostly dominated by Muslims. The 2022 National Assembly election was held on April 9, which also coincided with Ramadan. Senegal, the same thing. I can go on and give you. But our own Nigerian Muslims, they are too holy. They are untouchable. I'll give it to them. Their own religious practices are deep. So they don't do their own like Turkey, Indonesia, Kuwait, Egypt, Gambia, even other countries. So they have their own observance and preservance. They have their own. I'm not going to say because others are having the elections during this period that we must also have our elections. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm trying to let us be enlightened what is also happening around other places.
So their concern, is their concern genuine?
How do you measure what is genuine and what is ingenuine? For me, the truth remains that we have to major religions in this country, Christians and Muslims. And if you look at this election period, it fell within the same mode of their fasting in both ways. And one is saying we cannot. And the other one is keeping quiet. So how is it genuine? For me, it's not genuine. But we can still accommodate. Yes. It's not genuine. There's nowhere that it says that during the month of Ramadan you cannot vote. It's not anywhere in Quran. I've read Quran many times. And I keep reading. Yes, it's more like abstain from sin. Do charity. Fast. Pray. That's what it is like. It is say do not undertake any work. Many of them who are fasting, they will still go to work. Yes. Many of them. Because it's 1 month fasting. Would you say that while you are fasting, you will not go to work? Man, you will still go to work. While you are fasting, you have to work. If you can work, why can't you vote? It's very simple as that. So you don't just bring that into any analogy. Had it been that the fasting is done indoors, you can't go out, it becomes a different thing. But since you can go out, work, do something, you can as well vote. But like I said earlier on, we can still accommodate. We can still accommodate.
So are you aligned with the move by the National Assembly for the date to be adjusted? That's number one. And number two is, if National Assembly has the power to adjust timetable for election, let's start from there. If you look back, you see that the elections we have conducted in Nigeria, talking about presidential election, in 1999 it was on February 27, and 1999. You talk about 2003, it was April 19th, 2003. The next one was April 21st, 2007. Next one was April 16, 2011, March 28, 2015, February 23rd, 2019, and February 25th, 2023. These are the dates we had conducted recent presidential elections from 1999 to date. And this one now has February 28 and the March 26 and March 6. And there are concerns coming from Muslims that the dates fall within Ramadan time, hence there is need for a change. So now that we heard the National Assembly is going to reconvene tomorrow, they are going to cut short their recess to sit and look at the timetable. And from all indications, they might be making a move to adjust that very timetable. So what do you think about it? Then do they have that very power to adjust the timetable, which will released by INEC?
Well, INEC has shifted the burden to National Assembly. I saw the press briefing by INEC chairman, and I also saw the release made by INEC as well. So we are going to look at how this drama will play out. But they will be setting another precedent, or it could be dangerous anyway, if they shift this election and it coincides with the Easter period for Christians. Remember, this election must be conducted by, if you go by Electoral Act, because the idea of a National Assembly shifting election dates, you ask a very important question: do they have the powers? The only power they have is to amend whatever relevant law to give INEC more space to choose the election. National Assembly does not fix election dates. It's only INEC. So the deliberation they are going to have is to see if they can amend any law that constrain INEC to this date, so that INEC have more options to see if they can shift the election. I think that's the major reason for their convergence, not necessarily to shift. They are not converging to shift. They are converging to see if they can amend any law that constrain INEC, so INEC will have more options to shift the election. That is one. And then secondly, the most important thing is that if you shift this election, it might also coincide with the Christian festival of, or get close to the Holy Week. I don't know, because Christians have Holy Week and it's a week thing. Why they have a Lenten period? Lenten period is more than a month period, about 40 something days. If you look at it, they should be careful. This election must be held between late December and 29th of April. That's the upper band and lower band. Late December 2026, this December. Late December 2026 and April 29, 2027. And it must be in fulfillment to Electoral Act provisions, which has stated that the elections must not be later than 150 days to the expiration of the office orders and not less than 30 days. So it cannot be more than 150 days and it cannot be lesser than 30 days. That's what we have under section 132 of the Electoral Act. Because if you look at that section 132 of Electoral Act 2022 as amended, not earlier than 150 days. I think that's the way it applies there. Not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days before expiration of the president's tenure. That's for president. If you go under governorship election, section 178, subsection 2, also apply the same thing between 150 days and 30 days before end of the tenure. And if you go by provisions of Electoral Act section 28, subsection 1, that INEC shall publish a notice of election not later than 360 days before the date appointed for general election. So in all of this, INEC has fulfilled the provisions of section 28 by publishing the election timetable, which we said earlier on. Now the issue is within this ambit. If Ramadan, we have said it that Ramadan for 2027, one would ask, when does it start, and then probably when will it end? This is the first time, I don't know, the Ramadan came too early. This is the first time it came too early. But Muslims are having concerns over this issue. And we are also looking at what it pertains. The Ramadan for this, okay, because we are in 2026, I'm talking about Ramadan 2027. Ramadan 2027 will start Monday 8th. That is February, Monday 8th February 2027. And ends sometime around 9th to 10th of March, depending on the moon. But it's going to end between 9th to 10th of March. So what these people are saying is, can you hold the election on January? Can we? Because if INEC put this election in the month of January, people may not have returned from their travels from the holiday. Because this election has now eclipsed February. We are looking at possible time if we are to accommodate this concern, which for me, I said earlier, it is not in any way tenable, but we can still accommodate so that nobody will feel disenfranchised.
Now, if eventually INEC decides to go ahead with this election, maybe after all the thought, all the tinkering, all the calculations, consultation, and nothing happens, the date is not changed, and some persons, due to the election, did not vote, can somebody go to the court to challenge the election on the ground that the person was disenfranchised?
the person has no even ground. There's no ground. You can't challenge that. The idea is to see if you can. INEC, by law, they are 100% correct. By law. The only thing we are saying is just to see if you can accommodate. I have just reeled out the concerns how elections are done in other Muslim countries. They are not putting these things. One thing about religion has tied us here in this country. Tied our hands, tied our legs, tied our neck. We are religious, yet most corrupt. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But just like I said earlier on, we can still accommodate. If you look by, I have to go to 2027 calendar now. I have to. And then see the possibility INEC may achieve the election in the month of March. Ramadan comes March 11, 2027. So after 1 week of Ramadan, they may decide to put it on Saturday, the upper week Saturday, and then follow the 2 weeks interval that could also culminate into or possibly towards the end of March 2027. This election, that's the only possibility I'm seeing here. Instead of February and March, as earlier announced, it will be March. The elections may be held in March or possibly get into early week of April. That is the possibility I'm seeing here. And if INEC applies that, I know there are people that will shout, but if you shout, how does it affect you? How does it affect you? We are going to see to this. We are going to the National Assembly. I know they are meeting when?
Yeah, tomorrow.
They are meeting tomorrow. And then the Harmonization Committee is also meeting today.
Yes.
So we are going to look at all these issues, but we must find a way to remove religion from what we do in this country. I guess the Ramadan, I think this coming Wednesday is Ash Wednesday for Christians.
Yes.
Ash Wednesday. This coming Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, and which also begins the month of fasting. If you shift this election to the month of March 2027, it might coincide with Easter. Easter is a day. Holy Week is just a week. And Lent is 40-something days. If you do it, Christians will revolt. They always say you cannot try to accommodate them at the same time inflict on what we have. We have been, that both of us are also affected already. So let's work with the way and manner we are affected. So INEC, that's why they've shifted the body to National Assembly for them to have deliberation and come up with anything likely they're going to come up with.
Okay, so let's see how they are going to resolve this, whether the timetable is going to be adjusted or INEC is going to stick to what has been announced and then expect everybody to adjust to that very timetable. Now, you mentioned the Harmonization Committee of the National Assembly, which of course is expected to begin to sit today to harmonize the two versions of the electoral bill amendment, which was passed by the two chambers of the National Assembly. From what we gathered, this very committee is getting some pressure from some quarters, and this pressure is that the committee should adopt the version of the electoral bill amendment which was passed by the Senate. So, Tony, if eventually the committee adopts the version filed by the Senate, are we at any disadvantage, or perhaps it can serve us better given our current political situation?
Well, just like we've mentioned, we've been on this throughout the whole week, and we are going to see what the National Assembly will come up with. I listened to the Chairman House Committee on electoral matters last night, and his views were somehow at variance with so many views Nigerians have canvassed. And one of the views he shared was, what if somebody preload election results into beavers even before the conduct of elections? So does it mean that beavers would also transport it to Porter and where it will be counted? That there are people who are mischievous, that if you go by the way things are, many people will go and preload into beavers even before the election date results. There are those that can easily mortgage some INEC officials or even kidnap them or abduct them and have them upload results before you. So by the time they go to polling unit, you will start seeing two results. And when you see two results, which one are you going to take? When he was doing or making such postulation, he was saying the need for concurrency. The one at the Beavers, that's the one at the IREF, must concur with the manual one. If where they do not concur, what happens? So if somebody go and bring a fake result and the fake result fails to comply or fails to be the same with the one on the portal, so people that have voted there will lose those elections. So we cannot find out which one is true. But the truth remains that most agents are not helping matter. I don't like the idea of saying let agents, they will sign. Most of them do not sign. Most agents, and you don't even have proper accreditation. Anybody can form to be an agent. Anybody can sign anything.
But that argument, which was canvassed by the senator, does that make sense? The argument that something can be preloaded, because the way this thing is uploaded is that right there before everybody, the Beavers is used to take a snapshot of the result sheet and upload it. So that argument, does it make sense?
It does not. Why I say it does not make sense is this: before Beavers, if polling officer comes to any election polling area, he will wipe out everything on Beavers and show it to everyone around there that these Beavers. But the question is, how would people know whether it is everything, anything at all in the back, whether it's wiped out? We are talking about the urban areas. They may be conscious of that. What about rural areas that do not know anything, that don't even know that the polling officer should show them Beavers how empty, and they even the boxes, the election boxes, the ballot boxes, show everybody that this is empty, that we are going to begin the process. Many people don't know these rituals. They don't know that these are procedural ways of starting the election. So when they don't know, politicians, these people are catch me if you can. If you are coming, like the Chairman House Committee on Electoral Matters was saying last night, there could be ways they can preload election results and even start transmission even before election. What happens? How do we checkmate them? He was saying that they are going to take all these things to their concurrence table today. That the issue is preloading. And the question is, how would they have access to Beavers for them to preload? That's another thing. Because it's when you have access to Beavers. If INEC officials have been accredited or mobilized to go to election area, can politicians kidnap them, abduct them, take them to one place and start preloading election results?
How would they also have access to the result sheet?
The issue of result sheet, you can print it even. You use computer and that is, but one thing you should know.
Some of the result sheets do have security features.
They have security features. How many times have you seen any result and start checking the security feature of the result? They have security features, but who checks? The issue is, how do you authenticate? My concern is it has come to this way. Just as we have said earlier on, they have a lot to work on, because somebody was telling me, I've got a message that the House of Representatives, they may be opting for, just like we said earlier on, March for election of 2027. Somebody sent the message now to me that they may be opting, that he has it on good authority, that they may be opting for March. And then I will also let them know, if you are opting for March 2027 is no-go area, because Ash Wednesday for 2027 we begin 10th of February. Palm Sunday is 21st of March 2027. And also Good Friday is 26th of March 2027. Easter Sunday is March 28th. So you find out that March 2027 is also filled up with Christian activities like Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Ash Wednesday. So that's March 20. I don't know where INEC will put this, because the Christian senators and House of Representative members, it is now up to them to say no. Yes, they won't go there and be looking. Where somebody has just sent me a text message that look at what the House may be planning to do, that they may be planning to shift the election on March. And March is also filled up with specific Christian activities. But remember, the fasting period, so much talked about, affects both Christians and Muslims. But we wouldn't want a situation whereby you fix election in a week leading to Eid al-Fitr. How can you fix election in a week leading to Eid al-Fitr? It's not possible.
Now,
and I will not even advise that.
What if you look at this, some reports in some papers, they are proposing that the National Assembly might be considering February 13, 2027. Would such date be convenient for both religions? Let's put it that very way.
Now,
if we are going to consider religious sentiment,
if you put it on February what?
February 13th.
February 13, Lent begins February 10 for 2027. So what it means that it's also within the month of Lent. And at the same time, if you put it February 13, 2027, as you said now, because it must be 2 weeks interval for governorship, unless you're going to do it 1 month interval by changing the laws. If the National Assembly changes the law and say that it must not always follow 2 weeks interval, they can drop it below, because if you look at February 13th, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
So the other below date should be February. It should be February 5 or 6 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
If they add it February 5 or 6, fine and good. The law they will now have to amend is that the governorship or state house of assembly election will not follow 2 weeks. It will be also at appropriate time. They have to wait for when probably we have had Easter, have everything, Eid al-Fitr, and the idea is the law says 2 weeks interval after the presidential election. So that 2 weeks interval, they may have to amend the law and possibly bring it before February 8th or February 6th or thereabouts. February 6th, not 13, because if you put it 13, it falls within the month of Lent in 2027. So Christians will not also say they are happy with it.
Okay, because if you look at what they are projecting that month of Ramadan in 2027 would be around evening of Sunday, February 7, 2027 to evening of Tuesday, March 9, 2027. So let's see how they're going to go about it. So for us to move into other things, I asked a question regarding this very amendment of the Electoral Act. If eventually the Joint Committee goes for what the Senate passed, because from what we gather, if you check the papers, you see that pressure is mounting on this committee member, about 24 of them, and it appears like it has not taken a party line whereby some members of the APC are pressurizing members of the committee to align with what Senate passed.
Well, we've seen that before now. Even there seems to be some statements within the party circle, though they have not made it official, that the House of Representatives should move and align with what the Senate has passed. Remember what the Senate has passed, that where communication fails, that manual should be resorted. And we have said is more like leeway, gateway for fraud. And who decides that there is network failure? Who confirms that there is network failure? When we have said that you can transmit. And I listened to the same chairman House Committee on electoral matters last night, and he said, INEC can say that you can transmit even without network, that by the time it gets to where network is, that these things will push themselves or they will transmit without you knowing. Situation where they fail to transmit, that you should also look for alternative where the polling officer has sent all those things and expecting transmission at the portal. Late at night, it was not seen. Remember, there will be word collation. And maybe by the time there is collation at the word and there is nothing at the portal, what would be used for collation? He asked that question. There are people who are saying that we should jettison anything manual at the word collection center or local government collection center, and where there is nothing at the portal that can be used for collation, what happens? Some people said if there is nothing, shift the collection. It's better you get it right as against getting it late. And nobody says that once you are leaving the polling unit, heading toward collection center, the local government collection center, that collection must take place immediately. You can always allow, since you are dealing with internet and network, allow time.
But if you look at this very argument deeply, you might see several holes in those arguments, because the issue of the essence of IREV is not even actually to do all these things they are looking at. IREV is for many Nigerians to be able to monitor results from polling units, so that by the time the final result is announced, they will not know whether there is any discrepancy or not. And just look at let's use a number example. The last Agube election. In fact, by the time INEC announced the final result in the early hours of Sunday morning, we had known who was going to emerge the winner. We just waited for INEC to tabulate and then confirm the actual winner, because Nigerians were looking at the result. I think the essence of trying to legitimize IRF is that if anybody wants to go to court, the person can get download from the IRF and use it as an evidence in court.
What Nigerians are arguing is not using IRF as a way to checkmate results. They are arguing these days that IRF will be used for collection. That's what they are arguing for. They have taken the argument beyond what you said. Before now, it was for us to have IRF or have a legal status for IRF. Now, whatever you see on IRF can as well be used as a legal document to challenge any result. But they have taken it beyond just viewing and using it as a legal document to challenge anything. They have taken it further beyond that. So what they're arguing is that whatever that will be on IRF is also good for collection. Yes, that's the argument. And that's why the member of House of Representatives, who is the chairman of the Electoral Matters, was actually saying that what if you get to World Collation Center, local government collation center, and there is nothing yet uploaded? What will be used for collation? And I listened to comments. People said, wait. That it's better you wait, as against being in a hurry. You wait that it will eventually come. And where it fails to come, that thing, Senate says, cannot be
the manual.
The manual own comes in wherever that is inevitable that it will not come.
Okay.
But the point remains that if you allow such manual, like the way Senate puts it, where network fails, or I think if they had said where the result was not seen on IREF after reasonable wait, then the manual comes in. They did not put it that way. They say network fails. And people have been asking questions, who decide when network fails and not. So I think the argument, if move forward, should be to rephrase it where it was, or it has become inevitable that the IRF or portal own has not been seen after reasonable time. As against this, some people say, if it is not seen, and then check the margin of lead. If it does not affect the margin of lead, go on with other results. Do not use anything manual. But if it does affect the margin of lead, go back, declare it inconclusive. Go back there and conclude it. So these are arguments.
Okay. We have a commercial to attend to now. Once we return from that very commercial, we're going to open the phone lines. By the way, El Rufai is in the news. Former governor of Kaduna State. In fact, last week he tried the hornet's nest because he said three things. Now he talked about the Diata's killing. And somehow, he was suggesting that the former governor of Kano State, Omar Oganduje, might know about what happened to Dade Yata. He also talked about the allegation that he had, on good authority, that the Office of National Security Advisor was trying to import a poisonous substance for DSS. And he also talked about another thing he raised, which where he talked about how they wiretapped the phone of NSA to discover that he was the one who ordered for his arrest. And people are saying, has El Rufai talked himself into a problem that might make this very government to detain him so that he can explain better what he knows about all these things he said? We'll be right back.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Obachi chane to yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, Chichane nyanduo. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread, Aninta. Wendy's bread, you get it better tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your bachi choma. Wendy's bread, Wendy's
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza, Atani Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Attention job seekers in Oba and environs. Trends Lounge, Saloon and Gym is hiring. We are urgently recruiting waitresses, hairstylists, barbers, bartenders, supervisors, cleaners, spa and massage therapists. Interested applicants should submit their CVs at Trends Lounge, number 5, Zahil Street, New World Estate, opposite Sinachi Hotel, Oba, Anambra State, or call 081-07-63-1901. Accommodation is available. Trends Lounge Oba, where style, comfort, and opportunity meet. Signed, Management.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, are you listening to Udala Radio 4.7 FM? And this is The Polity. My name is Franklin Ebekan with Etonoli Sambeki, who is on the analysis desk. And we're going to open our phone lines now to give you the opportunity for you to lend your voice to the issues we have raised this very morning. The phone lines are 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Please remember, you have to talk within the time allotted to you. Good morning.
Yeah, I am Badmos from Unewe.
Go on, Mr. Badmos.
Good. Please, I want to ask the newly nominated local government chairman of APGA political party. So I want to know, because those people that they removed, what is their offense? Where are they lacking behind? Do they surrender, or was they removed at their primary, or however the political party APGA is doing it? Now, number 2, the issue of El Rufai. Some people are saying that they should, the security agents are not able to arrest El Rufai because he's from the north, all these things. We should stop saying something like that, because if you want your place to be like where Nasir El Rufai comes from, then start behaving the way their people are behaving. You cannot say because the people resist the arrest, therefore people that come from your area are not doing good. That's not how government works. So people should know that we are not the same in this country. The north and the southeast are not the same thing. So we cannot say because El Rufai resisted arrest, then we will start behaving like them. We are not the same thing. Then finally, on the issue of election, Tony said that Christian senators and House of Rep members are going to resist, they are not going to be happy. So I want to ask you, are Christian happy now that we have a Muslim as president and Muslim as vice president in this country? Where we are Christians, when Islam is well embedded in the constitution, let me tell you something, the only religion that the federal government fears and they attend to is Islam. So if they want to put it on Lenten season, they will put it, and Christians cannot do anything.
All right, thank
you. So it is only the Muslim Ramadan they are looking to know how to. It's not Allah. we see the so-called Christian senators.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Please remember you have 2 minutes for you to make your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you. This is Honorable Monday Johnson. Actually, I think I love Erufai as an opposition. I so much love the moment I got that Erufai is no longer working with APC. The moment I got into that he had a fallout with APC, I was very happy that he's going to play an opposition role. That man is a table shaker. That man knows Tinubu front, back, and every side. He understands his political tricks and is ready to take him headlong. So it's a prayer answered to some of us from this particular area that Erufai is beginning to unveil some hidden things that Nigerians doesn't know. More are still coming. More will still surface. Then on the issue of electoral arrangement, I mean the election arrangement, according to what INEC released, and the aftermath ups and downs that has been ensued. Tony, the speaker, I listened to you keenly. You took time to actually extract and also unveil certain countries that are Muslim countries that have actually jettisoned their religious or something and then align with the rule. Then you ask a question. Are we more religious in terms of Muslim faith than those countries? See, Nigeria is the theater of the absurd. And you can agree with me that the Muslims will have their way. The National Assembly that will convene tomorrow, you will see what will happen.
Please wrap up.
They will get it done the way they want it. And just like Badmore said, listen, they will adjust it and it will go conflict the, Christian faith ritual, and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen.
All right.
Because we have Muslim today, it wasn't so. Even the constitution balanced the rule. But we have it today against the rule, against the policy, against the constitution.
All right, Monday Johnson.
And heaven did not fall.
That will be all.
So let's
thank you.
And they accept our faith.
All right. Thank you, Monday Johnson. Please try to within these 2 minutes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Dr. Tony Zambeki. Very good morning to you all. The voice of Chidi Chukuma joining you from there.
Go on.
Yes, these issues of the 9 people that we are talking about, the people that want to use religion to change the whole thing. It's just like a question of somebody who couldn't prepare his exam and looking for any flimsy excuse to change the timetable if you are not really prepared for that examination. That is what is going on now. And also the fact that some people want to use religion to cause anarchy in this country. You have the religion that want to intimidate others. Every time you have overbearing influence in Nigeria. If Christians who are more populous is behaving this way, where will they be? Every time using using religion to intimidate or to tell us that they are superior. It is not good at all. You know why I like Turkey? Turkey, the other time Tony was able to tell us the people that they banded with, those Muslims that we can talk about. But you see their life and the way they behave is quite different. They are not looking at those ones. They are looking westward. That is their lifestyle. And if you go there, you see the progress in their country. Because for them, religion is a private thing. And you can never mix it with politics or any other things. And that are not all that serious in actual thing of religion.
All right.
Every time they want to use religion to manipulate,
Thank
to
you.
intimidate, it is very, very wrong. Look at the Atiku Abubakar. At this stage,
All right.
telling
Thank you.
us to change the timetable. Now, guys, just as the last speaker.
All right. Chukuma, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Biko,
Hello. Good morning,
Hello.
Franklin.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, you're welcome.
Anthony Mecheta, I'm with you this morning from Onitsha.
Yes, go on, sir.
Truthfully speaking, in Nigeria, all politicians are the same. There is no diplomacy about it. And when we say that, some will opine that it is only APC and PDP are the same. There are others that are not. I'm saying this in regards to the so-called primary election that happened at the local government by the Africa Party. And all we are seeing is that it is just an internal affair of the party. Then, what essence is the expression of interest form that was purchased out of 5 million? What about the charade of the mock that took? As if there will be an election. At the end of the day, appointment was made, and we call it affirmation. It is their internal affair. They can do it. So every party should not conduct or show democratically mode of picking their candidate. This is the internal affairs. As we are relying on what the Supreme Court has said now, every party will just make an appointment. It is your affair, and they affirm who you want to. Anybody that doesn't want it should leave. It is for our own affair. I want to state on this note that the process of election process by which one individual is in a position is as important as such position. This is what is put by Titobi. So quickly on this electoral matter, it has become obvious that there will be a long. We are not ready for this. What we settle all these amendments, shifting like this is when we have electronic voting. That is when this electronic transmission, real time, will upload and when they don't upload. Because if you listen to that committee, Chairman House Committee on Election at the House of Reps today, you see that there are a lot of loopholes for manipulation. A presiding officer does not upload. And you wait for a reasonable number of time, like my speaker said, like 2 hours, you will not see it. You resort to the manual which they have written. So there are a lot of lockdown in this electronic transmission, which they can still manipulate.
All right.
So for me, we are not right for it. What would my own concern in that letter art is let the presiding officer that declare results proof. Let the onus of proof be shifted on INEC.
All right.
Because opponents cannot
Thank you.
assess the result to point the discrepancies. And I know we hold evidences. So in that letter act, this one you put for me, the onus of proof of result to INEC. I'm okay. Whatever they declare, if INEC cannot prove what they declare, they should go to jail for it. I think the managers of our election will show up prudence and integrity for me. But for all this electronic.
All right. Thank you. 0803-221-67. All right, 6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, your name?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Yeah, my name is John. I'm calling from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. John.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Becker.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Franklin Lebuk.
Can you go on, please?
Hello, hearing me?
Can you go on? Go on. We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go on. Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Yes,
Good morning. My name is George.
Yes, just go on.
Calling from Asaba. Listen, I want to take on the issue of this local government election that we are having in Nigeria. We are not having any local government election. Let them be a time that the governor will stop wasting money of giving things that are going to print ballot paper and the rest. Let Nigeria find a other way to be appointing this local government, because it's not the election that we are doing. It's not. How can you say that we are going to do a local government election and the other political party not even interested? And then we come in, we look like this. That if APC is leading a particular state, what are doing local, nobody will bother to print anything, because we are going to that direction now in Nigeria. We are going to that direction because we believe that the local government election is a grassroots election. Somebody that will be taking care of the grassroots. It is the number one position in Nigerian system, talking about leadership, because it's the people that is the person that is closer to the people. But you don't let us to took our choice anymore. You will see the way people are lobbying just to be a flag bearer of a particular political party, because that particular party is leading. It's leading in the state. So it will be very better off that we forget anything concerning local government election. Let the people, let those people that be in the government, let them be appointing their mayor. Rather than people be wasting their time on the day of the election, you will put public holiday, people will go to the system, you will lock down everywhere, that you are being one election that I don't even understand. But what we are seeing this time around is election, it's appointment. You can see people are no more interested. People are no more interested in local government election. That is normally, by this time you will see people, some political party lobbying, doing campaign. What sort of campaign are you going to do? You're going to spend a little money that you know that you need to eat, feed your family. When you know that at the end of the day, Africa will clean everything.
All right.
Because it's what exactly that happened in the last local government election. You can see so many people were not interested. People like Labour Party, they're not interested.
All right, Josh.
And the time will come in Nigeria. Nobody will be interested in the local government election because of the way the governors of the state they're handling it. Good morning.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name?
My name is John. I'm coming from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. John.
Thank you. Alim Dume was happy because of USA has coming down to this very country called Nigeria. But some of the senators was against him. Why are some of the senators as against me? Any senator that against him for the supporting of the Alim Dume, if that person has skeleton in his cupboard. Tinubu, all the killings, but they are feeling less concerned. They don't want to see what is happening in this country. But
okay. Thank you for dropping by. Of course, we'll be able to get something from what you wanted to say before that line dropped. So we're going to check our Facebook page so that we take the reactions from our Facebook page and then see if you have enough time for us to continue with the calls. This one is from Dr. Missimo Lebera from Owerimo today. She says every new day comes with heartbreaking news and not heart-mending ones. Mr. President keeps saying they are winning the wars. He should desist from all these rhetorics. Imagine how people are being sent to the untimely death daily in the most gruesome manner, and the president is still speaking English. All Mr. President is after is how to win 2027 election when he has not performed. Let's see how their magic will work. God will not allow us to pass through these excruciating pains and emotional trauma. Then Sebastian Igwe from Ugwabobosi says, what happened yesterday as regards to the Abga primaries in the 21 local government areas of the state is really laughable. Very unfortunate when we talk about election in this country, because what we have these days is nothing but copy and paste type of election. Now, looking at what has been happening in our political space, any political party or candidate coming up to battle with the candidates of ABGA is just an effort in futility. Okay? And he's saying that the country is at a crossroad now. Rotrat Ubia Wike Chukwu Christopher from College of Education in Suba says it is ridiculous how we abandon the real truth as it concerns local government election. For Christ's sake, what we see is selection and not election. How do we wish to develop the grassroots when elections cannot be conducted? Local government election is called one-party affairs simply because the election is characterized with no election on election day, a massive rigging, non-presence of electoral officers, and at the end of the day, a result will come out. Okay, and he says, contesting with the ruling party is a waste of time and resources. The Honorable Sabon says, the National Assembly to reconvene tomorrow as to see the possibility of changing the election timetable left a lot of questions begging for an answer. My Speaker, it's good to understand that this call is coming from a particular region of the country, and very unfortunate that the electronic transmission of results, which millions of Nigerians have been clamoring for, the same National Assembly are playing politics over the whole scenario for over a long period of time. Really unfortunate. Religious sentiment has eaten deep in the minds of many people, especially our brothers from the other part of the country. Angole Kokoye, thank you for following the program. Tete Patrick says, I really don't understand why it is hard for Senate to pass the electronic transmission of results. Sometimes I'm just ashamed. I don't understand why some people don't want this country to move forward. The bill will change a lot of things. A common man can win election with the method of electronic transmission. Then Zakwa Celestine says, why won't he campaign? Come to think of it, these politicians have no value for human lives when it comes to their subject, and I think it's because of selfishness and insensitivity that controls the actions, and it's dangerous. He says. That's from Celestine Nzepwe. Thank you, Celestine. So, Tony, we have a question that was put up by, I think that should be Badmos. He talked about what was the offense of the serving local government chairmen or mayors who were denied tickets in Abga, or who failed to clinch Abga mayoral ticket in the primary election. So let's start from there.
There was no offense. I think from the look of things, they did not have offense. They may be primed for other positions. There are so many positions being in a ruling party can offer you.
It was surprising seeing Chibiko not getting a ticket.
Well, don't you think he may also be good in other areas, like being a commissioner? So it's not about having an offense. It's not about performance. Just like I said earlier on, primaries in a political party selection. People should understand this. Why would you say president has the right of first refusal? Is it democratic that if election comes for APC, President Tinubu would not have anybody to challenge him? He has the right of first refusal. That's what started in US. They will tell you the incumbent president has the right of first refusal. Franklin, is it democratic? The question is a kind of norm, is a culture imbibed by political parties from time immemorial. So is there a selection process?
Actually, if we're going to probe this further,
yes.
Maybe people might not actually frown at the fact that an incumbent is given the right for first refusal.
Why is it democratic?
But where they have issue is whereby any other aspirant is disqualified for the serving person to coast home.
It's not about how you frown on. I ask you, the right of first refusal, is it democratic?
So somebody who is on seat, you have to give him chance to either contest.
Is it democratic? What is democratic? Allowing popular opinion.
No,
the thing is this.
The person has a right to contest.
He has a right, but he qualify every other person.
If everybody has the level playing field to contest,
yes,
that becomes democratic. Whereby the person is given the right of first refusal, and another person is disqualified for the person to coast home. It's not democratic.
But it's a practice even in US.
It's not democratic.
That is what I said. Most times, the selection process of a political party, they have to prepare themselves for more like a context. So you will not expect every democratic tendency or tenets. The point is, a primaries are selection. How, just like I mentioned earlier on, if you go by provisions of a law, they have told political parties, you have your own way. It's your internal affairs. Nomination the Supreme Court says is not even justiciable. I said these things here. Abio that became Senate President, the election had taken place. He was not part of that election. He was going for president.
So can that be used as a good reference point? Can that be used as a good reference point?
Do you know why I can't use that one as a good reference point? Because there was election already, and they had produced somebody, and the political party produced somebody. How they come about it is nobody's business. But where I have problem with that one is that what happens to the first person they produce? They said that we don't want it again. Supreme Court interpreted it that it is their internal affairs. You don't have anything to argue. And when the law says it is this, I have said this many times. Morality and law are not the same. Something could be morally wrong, but legally right. Affairs of political parties are protected by the law. How they come about, whoever becomes their candidate remains their private business, internal business. And I've seen political parties, even in US, they decide to give whoever, they may decide to go for primaries. They may be in the middle of primaries, cancel it, and they say they don't want to go again. They want to go this way. You will see them populate list of candidates. Before you know it, do you know how Baduju became the governor of Anambra State? There was a primary that first produced ABC Nwosu as the candidate of PDP. But before you know it, PDP called off that primary that produced other candidates. And that was the second primaries they did that produced. In fact, it was coronation. They coronated in Banduju. So
that's why many Nigerians have questioned that very judgment by Supreme Court that anything about party is internal affair because if you look at this whole thing, parties are governed by their own regulations.
They have laws,
and these laws are meant to be interpreted by judiciary.
Exactly.
And the essence of law is to ensure law and order in society.
Exactly.
So if these laws are violated and somebody goes to court for justice and court says go back to the party that violated and deal with it, so that means the court want us to become lawless.
There are some cases I have problem with that interpretation, but what the court for me is trying to do, I have had problem with where somebody is somehow skimmed out. Somebody skimmed out and the person goes to court for redress and the court says no, we cannot do it. I have problem with that. If you look at how P2B became governor, in fact the second term everybody was disqualified. How Obiano became governor, everybody was disqualified. And the courts have always said parties, they have their ways, their screening process. Where people have problem with where somebody must have contested and then won and you said he did not win, where it was clear that the person won and you say he did not win. But in this case, I just said if you go to every other state, governors can pick whoever they want to run for local government election. So this energy, if you want to push it further, let's go and amend the necessary laws that will make local government elections be conducted by an independent body. Okay. And even our own local state assembly and presidential election, INEC, is it independent? Okay. As we speak, it's not about pushing energy here and there. There is something fundamental. Okay. So it is the prerogative of governors.
All right.
When it comes to local government.
So for the court, our court needs to go back to the cradle because Supreme Court said party affairs, internal affairs, they should deal with it.
It's not justiciable.
But you now go to Federal High Court and see Federal High Court deciding on internal affairs of the party.
They are just court of first instance. Their decision might not really take so much long before it will be overturned. You've seen some of these appeal at the appeal court, and most times appeal court rely on Supreme Court judgment for them to make a decision.
Okay, so we have to end it here. Or maybe on a very good day we might have a time to look at how the court have helped the democracy to progress or retrogress. My name is Frank Nebika. Thank you, Tony Lisambeki, for being around. Good morning.